Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? It's Monday again. It's Juneteenth, so it was a federal holiday for some of us, but I know some of us were still working hard. So hope you're all having a nice summer Monday. Hola, Domingo, ¿cómo está? Aziza, how are you? Un gusto. I'm gonna give a minute until people just hop on real quick. Hola, Ana. So hoy vamos a hablar con, qué bueno, otro diseñador súper talentoso. Y la razón que hablamos con diseñadores es porque son un gran parte del mundo de arte. Porque ellos mueven a arte, convence a los coleccionistas que eso puede caber bien en su casa, lo incorpora en su diseño. Entonces queremos hablar con diseñadores para saber cómo usa arte en su diseño y cuáles son como sus tips y tricks. Hola, Davey. Then, as we're all jumping on, I'm going to invite Aziza. Si en algún momento, si alguien tiene preguntas, por favor, lo ponga en el comentario. Hi, Aziza.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are
Can you hear me?
you? Yes.
I'm
Do you
good.
hear and see me well?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you very well.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us
Beautiful.
on our lives. I'm really excited to
No
be talking to
problem.
you.
Yes, likewise. I'm super excited to have this discussion with you.
Great. Well, some of our regular live participants have been asking before, why were you always talking with artists and now you're talking with different people? And the reason is we want to understand more how this whole thing works, right? From artists to an art getting into a collector's home, there's a lot of different people involved. We're one of them because we're a gallery, but interior designers are also play a very creative role because they help the clients envision a space and in their design how an artwork can fit and how that story of that art piece can also represent the story of the clients themselves. So we're excited that we're opening up these conversations. And as our session is called Cuenta tu historia, or Tell us your story, we want to start by hearing more of your story, Aziza. You briefly mentioned to me that you were an educator and now a designer. Can you just guide us through?
Yes. So I about 10 years ago, I joined Teach for America and decided that I was going to become an educator. And it's been the it's been the best but also challenging 10 years. Um, and so the last 5 years, I've spent a lot of time instructing other teachers. So I was an instructional
Mm-hmm.
coach, and I hated my job. Like no matter what school I went to, I hated it. And so I'm very prayerful. So I prayed about it, I fasted about it, and my husband and I moved into our home in 2018. And when we moved into our home, I just had, I was very motivated to interior decorate our home. And our home wasn't like I didn't have to completely renovate it, but I did wanted to make it feel like our home and our space. And it was just very therapeutic, like being very, in a very, I wouldn't call it a volatile, but a very, in an environment that was very challenging for me. Coming home just brought me a lot of
Mm-hmm.
happiness. And I've always been creative, and but I feel like my calling is to help others in any way or fashion, which is part of the reason why I went into education. And something hit me. It was like, you know what? I think you would be a great. This is me talking to myself. I think you would be a great. You would be a great interior designer, and I just went for it. I went for it. Um, and it's been a blessing. I love every part of being an interior designer. I just love how makes me feel. I love how it makes others feel. And one of the big things that I try to promote with DH Designs is this idea that, you know, when you go into your home, you should be reminded of how great you are. It should affirm your greatness. And so we spend a great deal of time talking to our clients and being attentive, understanding them, because that's ultimately going to help us understand their design.
Mm-hmm. How does that conversation go? What's great about you?
Uh,
I'm just curious.
well, you know what? So we actually asked, and various questions. One is like, how would you describe your personality? How would you describe like what is your favorite outfit? What is your favorite vacation destination? Believe it or not, those types of things helps to really understand who a person
Mm-hmm.
is. And we do this through, just by having multiple conversations with our clients. Because again, it's important for us to, like, I'm not living in your home. You're
Yeah.
living in your home. So I want to make sure that it reflects you, it fits your style, your personality, and your lifestyle. So we do that by asking an array of questions. One of the things that our clients, when they inquire about our services, is that we send them a questionnaire, and that questionnaire helps to get a lot of information about
Mm.
them. And then after that, we jump on the phone and then we ask more questions. So it's really a lot of questioning and interviewing our clients to see what their style is.
Mm. Do you think that's kind of what differentiate DIH design with other designers in a way that you hone in really?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I hear a lot of, horror stories from other people who experience other interior designers, and I hear a lot of success stories. And I find out one of the things that we're very proud of at DH Designs is that we're very attentive, right? One of the things that you'll notice when you go to our website, which is www.dhdesigns.com, or you go to our Instagram page, is that all of our designs are
Mm.
very different, and they're different for that reason, right? Like it's important that the design is
Right.
personal, is individualized, and that we differentiate the design per client.
Mm-hmm. Spreading
Yeah.
individualized happiness.
Yes, yes.
That's great.
I like that. I'm gonna quote that. I'm gonna steal that from you.
Also, I see you're very innovative. So you have a academy, right? DIH
Yes,
Academy.
yes. Yeah, we just launched that just a few months ago. I'm super excited about it. I think it allows me to bridge interior design and education, which are like the things that I love to do. And so I'm super excited about it. The idea of DH Academies is to teach homeowners how to interior design their homes. I find that a lot of people, let me not say a lot of people, there's many people who can't afford an interior designer,
Mm-hmm.
but want to be able to come home to a home that is pleasing and ideal to them and that reflects them. And so, what DIH Academy does is it walks them through the process of interior designing their own home. And I would say like our packages are very cost efficient. It's a 4-day course,
Mm-hmm.
and it's myself and 3 other professors who will be teaching the
Mm-hmm.
course and walking clients through the process. We do hope to. This class is also an introductory class for people who are looking to, change occupations and maybe go into interior designing. And so that's something that we're planning to just branch out and do, like provide courses for people like myself who, when I started, I didn't have any background in interior designing. I was just very creative. And so this would allow, other individuals who are looking to change, maybe make a shift in their occupation. It would enable them to do that.
Mm. That's very much in line with how you were training teachers, and now you're a designer training designer.
Yes, full
All
circle.
right. Wow.
Full circle. It's a blessing.
And
Definitely a
how
blessing.
was that transition from educator to designer? Was that difficult or was that smooth?
Oh, yes, very difficult. A lot of therapy, a lot of crying. Like when you're used to doing something for many years and and then I think I made the shift when maybe I was around, this was just, I left teaching, or not teaching, but education full time in 2021. So this was like at the peak of the pandemic. I wasn't sure if, if I was going to get any business. It was just me taking a risk, taking a leap of faith, and just changing occupations. And it was challenging, right? Like mentally, um, like I had conversations with my husband. I'm like, are we making the right choice? Like, and thank God I have a husband who's very supportive. So he supported me throughout the way. But it was a lot, like, not knowing if this was going to be successful. I had already done it for many years, and going into COVID, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it full
Mm.
time. But everything worked out. Everything worked out. I'm thankful.
What do you think caused the tears? Was it the fear of change?
Yeah, the fear of change. You and I talked about this before, but this, coming from a background where you're the only one that who's doing this, like my parents are Nigerian, and so to be an interior designer, they're like, what is an interior
Yeah, what
designer?
is that?
What is that? If you don't like, and like it's not guaranteed money either, and so that was difficult, like doing, moving away from something that I know that I'm good at, something that I know that provides me security, um and then shifting to something where I'm like, I don't even know what the outcome may be. That was hard, like not knowing the unknown, right? Like not knowing the
Not
unknown,
yet.
was very difficult. And so that caused a lot of tears. And then also, like, you know starting a business is tough. Starting a business is tough. And also, like, struggled with, um, um, this syndrome, they call it. I forget the name of it, but imposter syndrome. That's what it's called.
Mm.
So I went to school. I have a master's in education, but I don't have, all I have is experience in interior designing. And so that was also
Mm.
another obstacle and challenge for me. Like, I wasn't sure if I was capable of really, really growing this business to where I wanted it to be. Um, and honestly, like, all it took therapy, it took having a support
Mm-hmm.
system, it took having conversations with other people and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just ultimately, like, just praying to God about it, just praying and asking for direction. And I had to tell myself that, not to look at a job, not to look in a job for security,
Mm-hmm.
or like that, to only look for security in the Almighty. I'm very religious,
Mm-hmm.
so when I changed my mindset, it made it much easier for me to, take that risk. And one of the things that my therapist actually told me was, if interior design doesn't work out, you can always go back and get a job. So, and so I think when you really sit down and think about it, we really put a lot of that burden on ourselves. We do.
That is true. You think more is
Yeah.
in our control than it is. And
Oh, exactly.
also the interesting thing of how amazingly we keep telling ourselves we're not enough. And no one else
Yeah.
did. It's just us ourselves.
Just us.
Yeah.
Just us. Yeah, we perceive so much, and I think, it's not a bad thing to be critical of yourself, but not to the point where it hinders
Yeah.
you from, reaching your potential.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, it's very brave that you took that decision during the pandemic because hindsight, we knew pandemic economy was good, but we didn't know while we were in. And at this point where
Yeah.
everyone is calling there's going to be a recession, everyone's calling the wolf, right? Then it's also another hindering and paralyzing factor for so many people. But you
Yeah.
have your own timeline. And I think that's very brave of you. Would
Yeah.
what would be like a recommendation you would give to aspiring designers or people who are trying to make that jump from something that they know and secure, but they know there's something more out there to life, but
Hmm.
that jump is just so difficult?
I have conversations with yourself. you may look you may look crazy, but have those conversations with yourself. Especially when you're coming from an environment where you're the only one doing that thing, or you come from a household where you're the only one who's an entrepreneur. It's very difficult for other people to understand, and they don't understand because they don't want what's best for you. They actually do want what is best
Of
for
course.
you. Yeah, but they may not see the full picture. They may not see how passionate you are about whether it's going into interior designing or in any industry. And so my biggest advice would be to talk to yourself. You know, really ask yourself if this is something that you're passionate about, right? Like, how much are you willing to put into this? Um, Last year or 2 years ago, I told myself, you know what? If this doesn't work out, I have to blame myself. I have to blame myself. So that means I have to grind, right? Like, is
Mhm.
this something that you're willing to grind for? And if not, you may want to reconsider some things. But if it is something that you're willing to grind for, no matter whatever obstacles or challenges you go through, you'll overcome it, or you'll find a way to
Right.
overcome it. Um,
If it means that
and so,
much
like,
to you.
exactly. So, consistent reflection, maybe some therapy if needed. If
It's
needed, but
always good to
yeah,
have a sounding board. There's
yeah,
know what
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
question to ask.
Exactly, exactly. And then another thing is just affirmations. Just so something that I'm still working on it, but I'm getting better at it. But it's just telling myself that I'm enough.
Yeah.
I've done my best, and then I'll continue to do more and better.
Yeah.
And so just telling yourself those things, because it can be really tough.
Yes. Exactly. And attitude
Yeah,
is basically it. Attitude drives performance in a way. So if you
it
can make
does.
yourself believe that, that will show in different ways.
Exactly, exactly.
Personally, how difficult? Well, I mean, professionally, grinding can be an answer to a lot of the problems, right? But then we all have a personal life and we have responsibilities to our loved ones. How do you
Yeah.
balance that?
Oh goodness. That is a work in progress. I for me, if I don't plan things, things tend to get a little
Hmm.
chaotic, and so I have three little ones under the age of 7,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be a lot juggling, being a mom, being a wife, being an interior
Right,
designer. And then on top of that, I still, as much as I wanted to pull away from education, I do still teach part time, teach like 2 classes, and that's like my way of like, um, I have that little crave for teaching, and so that helps me satisfy a little crave.
uh,
Um, but it's just all a matter of like for me, and I think, and I put a lot of emphasis on me because I think everyone works
right,
differently. But for me, planning really helps, and having a routine, and again having a support system is also very helpful when juggling many things.
right.
And then also not being afraid to ask for help. That is something that I'm working on this year, especially with running my business.
Hmm.
I recently hired 2 other interior designers. I have someone who manages all my accounts.
Hmm.
My husband, I've made him in charge of like the finances.
Hmm.
I hired somebody to help me with my branding and social media platforms. And so I'm learning to like let go and like get the people who are good at these things and allowing them to do it for
Right,
me because it takes a load off of me. So that's been very
exactly.
helpful.
That is true because
Yeah.
especially if you are working for an organization, like you were working as part of an organization, then it's so ingrained in you to take care of so much. And then
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneurship, you have to really step on your strengths and maximize that. And then the rest you have to ask for help and build a team. And you have to build a winning team. Too,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
another challenge, right?
Yeah. And I totally agree. Build a winning team. And I think the key word in that is build, right? Like, I think a lot of us assume that it's going to immediately, the people who we hire in those positions are going to be great and perfect.
Right.
And that may not always be the case. But it's all about like building and supporting and training,
Exactly.
because this also allows you to know the ins and outs and the logistics of your business as
Right.
well. And
Right.
so, yeah, that's super important.
Yes. It's a whole process. Um,
Yeah.
so we're curious how art fits into your creative designs because also like you mentioned, your designs are very different. The styles are very different. And
Hmm.
in those different varying styles, how do you incorporate art?
Oh, so there's like a list of must-haves in every home that we decorate, and art is maybe number one or number two on that list. Art is important, and similarly to design, when we're designing a home, it's important that we select the best pieces of art to go into a person's home. And so, if the person loves abstract art, we get something that means something, that symbolizes something to our clients. And art, for many of the clients that we work with, they don't even know what artwork we're putting into their home, right? We're putting ourselves into the shoes of our clients and imagining what they'll be able to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really important to us. Like when we're choosing art, it's never random. It's very intentional. And the goal is to, you know, put something in our clients' homes that they can connect to and that means something to them.
Right.
And so art is super, very, it's very important. Um, we had a client recently who, they were trying very hard to have children,
Mm.
and so one of the things that we did was, we placed the wall art in their home that just symbolized childhood,
Mm.
and and it meant a lot to our clients. They're able to connect to it. It's a reminder of what they've gone through,
Mm.
and it's a reminder that there's hope. And so it's very important,
Mm.
very important.
That's a great story. Do you ever meet
Yeah.
clients who are like, no, we don't want art, we want photos of our family, or like they're more specific about it?
Yeah, yeah, we have a lot of clients who, they prefer portraits of their family. And, I think that speaks to maybe, they're more family oriented. And that's fine too. So
Right.
we do a lot of gallery walls, we do a lot of
Uh,
portraits. And then we're also very intentional where we put these photos, right? So, we wouldn't put it in the kitchen, but maybe in a family room where they'll spend a lot of time
mhm.
together, or maybe even in a dining room
Right.
area. When I think of time spent with family, it's usually it happens in the living area, or in the family room, on the living or in the dining
Right. Right.
room. And so location of wall art is also very important, so we're very intentional with that. um and I work with clients who, they're, because of religious reasons, they didn't want anything with human figures or
Uh,
anything that, so, we have to be very intentional about that as well. And so, being an interior designer, it should not be on the surface. You're learning the person on a deeper
right.
level, because how, you want everything in that home to reflect them.
Right. Wow. I can see why somebody would
Yeah.
like you guys.
Thank you.
To paying that much detail, paying attention that much attention to detail. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just quickly check if there's any comments or questions.
Okay.
Anna said it was very brave of you to take that leap of faith.
Oh, thank you.
And the question is, being such a creative and passionate person, how important do you think art is in interior design? Okay, so you touch upon that topic. What are your next steps or your aspiration as a an entrepreneur designer now?
Yeah, so because I'm a planner, I have a 5-year plan and I have a 10-year plan, but I've also told myself to to be flexible. You never know what may happen. But I just want to continue to grow my business. I'm very proud to say that, I'm a woman, Black owned interior design firm. Not everyone can say that. And, I think representation is key.
Mhm.
In the United States, I think uh, African American interior design firms only make up a little less than 3% of the interior design
Mm.
industry. And so it's important for me to continue to grow my brand, um, and to also like bring people on board. Like I'm very big on hiring someone who is more in tune with people versus someone who's an expert at interior designing.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It it goes
um,
in theme with your very personalized, detail oriented to your client. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think interior design is something that can be learned, right? But being able to ask questions, being able to understand someone, that takes a lot of skill. And I think once you've mastered that, then you've unlocked so much about just being detail oriented or being, a detailed interior designer. And so that's very important. That's very important for me. But my goal is to ultimately grow my firm. I I have plans on just, hiring more interior designers. Um, I really want to expand our virtual interior design
Mm-hmm.
services. Currently, we service the DMV area, although we provide virtual interior design services to individuals who are outside of the region. But my ultimate goal is to be able to provide physical interior designing to people outside of the DMV,
Mm-hmm.
the DC metropolitan area. And so we also want to do that. And then also, expanding the IH Academies. Like I wish there was a course similar to what, and I'm sure there are, but I wish I had a course like DH Academy that was more accessible when I was making a shift from being a teacher to being an interior designer, because I think it would have made my life a little bit much easier. So I'm hoping to like really expand DH Academies and be able to provide opportunities for individuals who are looking to make that shift.
Mm. That sounds like a whole community you're building there.
Yes. You have to think big. You have
Yes,
to
yes,
think big,
yes.
you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what would you
Yeah.
say are three keywords that describes your design?
Well, first, detail oriented. Very detail oriented. Um, Attentive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, in order for us to achieve that detail, to achieve those details, we have to be very
Right.
attentive. And innovation, right? We're always thinking of how we can push our limits, how we can push the limits of design, and just thinking more creatively about what interior design can be.
Mm, that's awesome. Aziza, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining and
Thank
for taking
you.
time away from your firm and your babies to be with us.
Oh,
I
thank
appreciate it.
no problem. Thank you so much, Sue. I really appreciate this, and I appreciate you bringing me on this platform to discuss what it is to be an interior designer and a mom and all of the other things. I appreciate this.
Awesome. We'll be in contact.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your
Thank you.
day.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.